Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, and I'm here to challenge everything you have been told about aging and wellness. This podcast is for those who refuse to accept that growing old means growing unhealthy. Each week, I will bring you dynamic conversations with inspirational guests, sharing practical advice, insights, and motivation to live your life rebelliously as you age with grace and vitality. This is your time to embrace self-care, transformation, and an infectious spirit that says no to the conventional and yes to a vibrant, powerful life. Let's dive in and redefine what it means to live well. Hi, Rebels, and welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And today, my guest is me, and I get to talk to you about a super juicy, perhaps controversial topic, and that is the topic of your health or wellness provider raise their prices, change their model, and whoa, the havoc that is causing. And I am going to address that from both perspectives, the provider perspective as well as the consumer perspective. Because, what my belief is that in order for a relationship to work, and when we have service providers, that is a relationship, we have to make sure that the relationship works for both sides so that both sides are happy to see each other, both sides feel like they're contributing to the relationship versus they're being taken advantage of. And let me tell you what gave birth to this episode is actually a post in one of the Pilates owners groups where somebody basically pasted a very hurtful email a client sent to her because she was changing her model. She was going from package sessions to a membership model, which is something that is happening a lot. It is something that personally my practice has been doing for a while, and I still have few clients who I'm transitioning to that. Very uncomfortable. This would equate to a physician going from, let's say, primary practice, taking insurance to concierge practice, or going to direct care medicine. And let's be clear that this happens in every single industry. It is that from what I see and where I sit, there is a lot of ugliness that happens when that happens for the providers. So let's take it first from a provider perspective. Okay, guys, I know it is uncomfortable to grow. I know it is uncomfortable to change our models. I know it is uncomfortable to increase our pricing. And doing that is a growth opportunity for all of us. Now, it is pretty much guaranteed that you will get backlash from that. People will not be happy about it. People will be bitching and complaining about it. Yes, they will say things which are not nice about you. And I want you to remember that that is not personal. The people are reacting from where they are. So when we want change into the healthcare, wellness, fitness industries, this is what I'm talking about. We have to learn to say no. We have to learn to teach people to respect our boundaries, such as in the fitness wellness industry, late cancels. That's an example. Such as we are raising our prices. In the email that was posted yesterday, the client basically said, I don't like your model, not in a very nice way. I have been a client for a long time, and what I'm going to pay you is this. And if you don't take this, there are plenty of places that I'm going to go to. It was like almost in a threatening way. And I was like, wow, this was a long-standing client with which the people had worked together for several years together. Okay, so the question of the provider was, what do I do? Okay, first question, is what the client proposing working for you? Is it in alignment with you? And you know what? Sometimes what the client is proposing may be like, you're like, yeah, you know what? That is a great intermittent post that we can do for 6 months, a year, or forever. You might choose to grandfather them. You have to decide what works for you. If that does not work for you, then what? And this is where we have to learn to stand into our value and into our word. And this is where we have to learn to let go of people's circumstances, events, which do not serve us and our growth. Listen, we are humans, just like everybody else out there. How many people do you hear complaining that they did not get their annual raise? We want our raise, right? Prices are skyrocketing on pretty much everything. And I know people who have not raised their prices in years and they're struggling. I have a colleague in the fitness world who had a hip fracture. He could not get dressed, but he was teaching so that he can pay his bills. That is not okay, you guys. We have to learn to say no and set up boundaries. And I'll tell you, a fellow friend physician, she told me, Maria, one of the most powerful things I heard at one of your speaking engagements was no is a full sentence. And listen, I get it. Things such as loyalties, things such as guilt, things such as shame pop up. And I want to ask you, are you coming from a point of, doing something wrong? Or are you coming from a point of, I have to pay my bills. I want to spend time with my family. I want to grow. I perhaps want to find time to pursue other things. When we serve from a cup that is empty, we are not serving our clients, our families, our communities enough as our best. And when we grow, and I often talk about the discomfort, this is part of the discomfort I'm talking about. We have to say, you know what, dear client, I hear you. I appreciate everything that you have done for me, for your trust, for support, for your loyalty. I have totally enjoyed our time together. And when I say all of this, I don't mean fake it. I mean truthfully, speak from your heart, speak from a place with a true gratitude. And that's okay. I get you that you do not want to invest the money that I'm asking for to support my business forward with the new model that I have. And that is totally okay. It's not about you personally. It's not about, insulting you or making you feel bad. If you feel inclined to go with another provider, you have the freedom and the choice to do so. Now, that's where the flip side comes. When the client chooses to do that, we have to be okay with them choosing to do that. And you guys, that's okay, because when one client who leaves, who is not the right client, leaves, that opens a space for a right client to come in. And that is, I will tell you, I have to work through that. I do journaling entries. I write forgiveness letters. I meditate about it. I make sure that I don't carry any resentment, any, whatever you want to call it, anger towards that client. It's okay. They have a choice. They have a choice. We have a choice. And if continue to work forward is not a win-win situation, if they continue to, if they choose to continue with you, but inside they carry that resentment for you having changed your model and raised your prices, guess what? That relationship will never be the same. You're going to feel that rub every time you see them. And then what's going to happen is every time you see them, it's going to be that uncomfortable, yucky, energetic place. Do you want to be there? I personally don't want. I want to work with clients who are aligned, who I can support, who I can pour from a full cup. That's a choice. And again, I will say it again, I understand it is uncomfortable. The more we do it, the easier it becomes. And listen, as an industry, to drive change into the industry, all of us have to learn to say no. All of us have to demand to be paid for what we are worth. All of us deserve for our time to be respected. All of us deserve to be treated not like second class. We want respect. When we are respected, when we are valued, that's when we thrive. That's when we serve our best. When we're burnt out, when we don't sleep, when we don't have time to spend with our family, when we're not happy, how can we serve from a cup that's full? And let's be honest, financial abundance is a part of the equation. And I will tell you what, financial abundance from, I have to pay my bill, the desperation, versus I want to serve you and I want to help you the best that I can. And you know what? If you're struggling to find your bill, you can come from such a place. If you're struggling to, You send your kid to summer camp because that's what you want to do, or to travel, or whatever it is that you want to do. You can come from that place of serving from your highest version of self. When you cannot go attend your kid's soccer match because you're constantly working, you're a working bee. You can't serve when you don't have time to sleep. You can't serve from that place, elevated place. And how would your world be different if you could do that? If you could support people from that point of view. So lots of food for thought. Again, lots of discomfort, but very important that you start taking those small steps. All of that is growth. And when you step into your growth, the right people will show up. The clients who appreciate what you do and are willing to pay will show up. And listen, that does not mean you cannot do things, volunteer your time or help others or figure out ways to help people who can't afford your services. You know what? Then you're going to have the capacity and the desire to do that. Because when you burn out, again, you've got nothing to give. You're barely giving because it's empty. So reflect and think about that. Now let's dive from the consumer side. Now you're on the receiving side. Your wellness professional is changing their model. They are raising their prices. Your physician is changing their, business model. And what happens? This suddenly becomes about you. And I can tell you, unfortunately, the ugliness I have seen towards wellness professionals when they claim their growth, when they step into being a higher version of themselves. I have seen bad reviews, from patients and clients who have been patients and clients for years and super happy with that provider. Now they start saying that this person is greedy. Are they greedy, or do they want the same things that you want? Freedom, more time, ability to do whatever they enjoy, ability to spend time with their family. A couple of weeks ago, I had a referral from a client. I booked the time with the person. I explained to her how long it takes, what is the cost involved. We set up the time. And then the day before, she sent me a text and she goes, well, can you shorten the time and bill me a smaller amount of time? Do you go to the grocery store and negotiate what the price of whatever is? No, I can't do that. First of all, there is a reason and a logic the way my business is set up. So I know that it requires a certain amount of time for me to do the baseline evaluation that I need to do for you. That is why my first session is set up as what it is. It's not just randomly pulled up to let me make this up. Now, if you don't want to pay that, that is totally okay. Now, we had a conversation and you agreed to that. I was very upfront. So what happened? And then I saw my client and I said, hey, listen, thank you for the referral. It didn't work out. And she gave me feedback about what happened. And she said, yeah, she really didn't want to waste the time for the evaluation in case she didn't like what you do. Pay attention to the choice of words. She didn't want to waste the time and the money. Okay, that just told me a lot about where your investment into your well-being stands. And you know what? We're not aligned. That was very clear for me because I don't work with people who consider my services a waste of their time or money. I work with people who are eager to invest into their time and money, into their well-being. And you know what? I guarantee them they're going to have incredible results. And you know what? Did I get upset? I got upset that we booked time and we had to move the time. And then the day before, that was an annoyance. I worked through that. But that was an affirmation for me that I stayed true and aligned with myself. Now, if you guys are the consumer, think about it. Do you trust me? If you are reaching out to me, do you trust me that I know my business well enough to structure it in a way that will support your growth, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And if you don't, what are you doing reaching out to me? Because you see, that whole interaction had nothing to do with me. That whole interaction had to do with you and where you are in terms of your priorities for your well-being. And listen, I say that with tons of love and no judgment, but I am there to where I understand that. And instead of getting mad at me for what my rates are and how I structure my business, I encourage you to ask yourself, where is my priority with my health and well-being? And whatever it is, that's the right place for you. And if you choose not to invest into, a concierge medical doctor or a concierge studio like mine, that is totally okay. That's a choice. But, from a consumer perspective, where we have an opportunity is to see wellness and wellness services and health services as something of value. Because to the point that the person said, well, I don't want to waste my time. So you have never gone to a hotel where you didn't love the hotel. You have never gone to a restaurant that you've not loved the meal. You have never gone to, gotten a haircut that you don't love. Do you not do those things because one time you were not happy with them? Did you still invest the time and the money in them? So what makes a wellness visit different than that? It's your priorities. This is not something that you have high priorities for you. Now, why would you do a bad review for me if I decide to raise my prices, if I'm growing? Why are you judging my choice to create freedom for myself, for my family? Why are you judging my desire to have more downtime and rest? A big question. Would you not want the person who is teaching you wellness and health to be a person who practices those things? Because I will tell you what's also happening into the wellness and healthcare industry is that we have a lot of people who preach what they do, but they don't take the action and follow their own advice. They're misaligned. So when you work with a physician who is concierge and they go and work out regularly and that they do their mindset work, is that not a physician you want to go work with? Somebody who has learned to manage their time and set up boundaries? Would that not teach you a thing or two about how you can live better? You guys, I hear horror stories from wellness professionals, from physicians, from nurses, from physical therapists, occupational therapists. I mean, it's the whole industry. These people have no life. All they do is work, and they work in a very challenging environment with sick people, low vibrations, death, sickness. Then they go home. They don't have time for their family. They don't have time to do their self-care. They go home and they get back behind the computer and they do notes and return texts and calls and emails and so forth. They're burnt out. They're humans too. If you're not in the wellness industry and you have a schedule where you go, do you not want a change from that? Physicians, wellness professionals, people like me, we want that too. So the end point, both provider and consumer, you guys, we all want the same thing. So let's not be hurtful and judgmental against each other. Let's support each other when we grow. Wow, my physician chose to go to concierge. My physician chose to go direct care. My Pilates instructor, yoga instructor, whoever chose to go membership-based. I applaud them for their courage to grow, to set up boundaries. Okay, do I choose to go along with them? Do I choose to grow with them? Or do I choose to be a distraction and derail for that? And I invite you to ask yourself, has this person helped me? Has this person brought value to me? And if so, why are you going after hurting them? It's not about them, it's about you. And again, this comes from a place of love. Right. As a consumer, you can also say, you know what? I am not there yet. I'm not willing to make the investment yet. And you know what? Perhaps when you grow, perhaps in a year, you'll become a client or a patient. That's okay. You can still have the beautiful relationship that you had. And as a provider, it's okay to say goodbye. It's okay to let go. No, it's not personal. You guys, both sides, this is not personal. This is about growth. And where we are as a society, where we are with healthcare, where we are with wellness, with fitness, it's very clear. Growth is necessary. So let's do it. Let's do it together. Because when we do it together, the vibe would be absolutely different than when we're bickering against each other. And you know what? When we do it together, it's going to benefit both sides, the providers and the consumers. We have to learn to play nice, you guys. We have to learn each other as similar versus different. We are all humans, every single one of us, regardless of what our color, ethnicity, political orientation, sexual orientation, religious orientation. We all want the same thing. So let's go, let's do it. Let's rebel and let's step into our truth. When you can't afford something, don't blame the other person. You can't afford it. Grow, learn. And you know what? People sometimes give me criticism and they say, Maria, you know, like you're a person who can afford things. You know what, guys? I will tell you, I have been so uncomfortable on my growth journey, including financially. I have made financial investments making hourly rate. So yes, I have the right to say, if you want it, you will do it. And if you don't, if you choose to make excuses, you will do that. And that's okay. That's where you are. Again, it doesn't come from a point of judgment. It's love. It's love. And the first thing you can do, the biggest thing you can do for yourself, whether you're a provider or consumer, this is for anybody, is become honest with yourself. It's take personal responsibility for you and your choices and your actions. And when you do that, your life will change. And yes, if you want to grow, you will be uncomfortable. It's part of the equation. Ugh, I get so fired up, you guys. But this is the raw truth. And yeah, sometimes you don't like hearing these things, but that's okay. You know what? If this episode triggered you, fantastic. It woke something in you. Listen to it again and ask yourself, is it a specific statement? Is it a specific word that triggered you? Think about it. Why is that a trigger for me? And go from there. That right there is a growth opportunity. Or did something that I say, you go like, yay, yay. And then you go, yay, yay. And then you take the action, you go, yay, yay. Or you're just like, yay. Because it's when we make the different choices and when we take the different actions is where one will change our life, two will change the life for our patients, for our clients, for our families, for our communities. This is how the world will change. So all that said, I send you so much love. I am here for you. Reach out. Let's talk. Let's have the conversation. Do you have an opposing point? I want to hear it. Let's have the conversation. Respectful conversations are so necessary for growth. I don't care to hear ugliness. But yes, if we have disagreements, let's talk about that. Because we have to get on the same page. It is important for our growth as humanity. I send you so much love. I send you so many great advice. And I am here for you however I can assist you. Whether it's your practice, if you're a consumer who needs to be talked through whatever is happening, I am here for you. I send you love and I remind you, step into your truth, take personal responsibility for your life and choose to live your life healthy on your own terms. Choose to live your life rebelliously. I will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on the Mind Body Podcast, where we explore the power of living authentically and rebelliously. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow rebellious soul who would love to hear what we share as much as you do. Stay strong, stay calm, and most importantly, stay rebellious. Until next time, rebellious souls, keep living fully. your journey is just beginning.